Hello and welcome to Too Fast, Too Forever. There's all kinds of family. We chose this one. This is episode 249, Den of Thieves from 2018. I'm Joey Lewandowski.
I'm Joe too, and this episode is brought to you by Air Crane Machine. Known for their marine hoists, marine travel lift or boat hoist cranes are a typical overhead gantry crane, and you can use it to pick your boat right out of the water to do maintenance or repairs. Shout out to Air Crane and their marine hoists.
Well, shout out to A Crane Machine and welcome to Too Fast, Too Forever. After the break, we'll be talking about Den of Thieves. But Joe, first up, extracurricular activities. What have you been up to in the last week?
Watching a lot of Love Island, because it's on every single day pretty much.
Yes.
It's whatever. Like, brain mush.
I think you answered me last week. This is Love Island US, though. It's a different show from Love Island UK.
Yeah, UK has been on. US just is like a week and a half old at this point.
Yep.
There's some really, really dumb people on the show. I don't particularly like anyone on the show. I caught up on Breaking Bad, including this Monday's episode.
You mean Saul, not Better.
Fuck, yes, I do this every time, and Rachel says the exact same thing to me every time, but more condescendingly than you did. Thank you. Yes, I caught up on Better Call Saul, watched the most recent episode. Show's awesome. You and Adam were both right. I think I enjoy it more than Breaking Bad.
It's not an issue that I'm having with the show, but so sort of vague spoilers for Better Call Saul. So if you have not seen it, we're not going to spoil the show, but I think if you've watched it, it's going to jump ahead to after the time of Breaking Bad. There's a lead up, and then there's the Breaking Bad stuff that we've seen, and now it's modern day-ish or whatever, new in black and white with Gene. I was feeling a lack of tension in the lead up, because I was other than Kim, which the season kind of became what's going to happen with Kim, Gus getting in trouble or Saul getting in trouble or Mike getting in trouble. It's just I know that they don't die because they're in Breaking Bad.
Because they're in Breaking Bad. Yes, I had this exact same thought. Yeah, you can't kill them.
Right. And so it was a little bit of, not frustration, but I'm just I wish that there was more tension here or something, because I don't know how you do that,
I get it.
But it's the nature of a prequel, right? But now that we're after the fact, anything goes, and I don't think that he's not going to die with 4 episodes to go, but he could. Who knows what the rest of the show is going to be, right? So now there's a little bit of excitement that we are now in uncharted territory.
Is that the word on the streets that we're going here out?
Well, I'm guessing that we're going to, because they have confirmed that to some extent, in some way, I don't know how, that Walt and Jesse are going to be back in some manner, some fashion, at least once this season. So I'm guessing we're going to flash back at some point.
I gotta. I mean, that was the easiest idea ever to have, right?
Yeah. So I don't know what the timeline is, but I think there's only 4 episodes left. So I don't know if they're all going to be in modern day, because the nerds on Reddit have figured out when this takes place, and it's it's...
Don't tell me.
No, it's not really spoilers for this at all. It's just it's relative in timeline to Breaking Bad and to El Camino and whatever. So there's stuff on there that I kind of didn't even want to know either, but my friend told me. But so I don't know what these next 4 episodes are going to hold, but we'll find out.
Yes. So there was that, and then also on, I think, Friday night, we went to go see Nope.
Oh, yeah, cool. I saw Nope, too. What'd you guys think of it?
I liked it. It wasn't anything I was expecting. We do no spoilies, no trailers.
Yep.
Even kind of hearing through the grapevine that it was an alien movie still was not what I expected.
Right. I wish I didn't know that about that, but that was all the trailers and every headline about the article was it's the alien movie. I'm all right, so I know that, but I didn't know what it was going to be. But yes, yeah.
But still was it still surprising? It wasn't what I expected in an alien movie.
Sure, yeah.
It was a lot different, and it was cool, and I liked it, and Daniel Kaluuya is fucking awesome, obviously. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I needed to process it for a while, though. You know what I mean? I needed to sit with it.
Yeah, I read a thing. I'll send you a thing. It's from Vox that was about what it might be kind of, because there's all these things the ending explains. Well, that's not really, it's not really what he's kind of trying to get at. There's a really good piece. I'll send you that. I might see it again now having, I don't know if I'm going to or not. I might just wait for it to be on Blu-ray or on demand, because it'll be there in probably 3 months anyway. It might be a little bit longer than it has been just because it's a popular movie. But I liked it a lot. I think I like Get Out more, but I like this a lot more instantly than Us.
I think Rachel said she likes Us best. A couple people at work
Rachel likes Us more than Get Out?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, and I like Get Out better.
I think
Yeah.
from a movie making point of view, I think it's Get Out and then this and then Us. I think that just sort of coincidentally aligns with how much I like them, but I think just like objectively in terms of like how they're made, I think Get Out's the best one, and I think this is closer to Us maybe, but I'm this could be my favorite, I guess maybe, but I like Get Out more. I've seen Get Out like 3 times though, so it's not exactly a fair, you know what I mean?
Makes sense,
Fair
yeah.
comparison.
But that's about it. That's what I've been up to. Other than that, just like, yeah. How about you?
I also saw Nope in theaters, and so we're not going to spoil it further here, so you can keep listening. I also saw on Saturday in theaters Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. Do you know about this? Have you heard of this?
I know that Marcel the Shell was always Jenny Slate's
Yep.
thing. I didn't see. Was there like a previous one?
It was a YouTube series, or like like a bunch of YouTube videos, and so this is a feature
Okay.
film that they made. That I don't know if Dean Fleischer Camp, who's the director of it, was involved in the YouTube series. I would imagine that he was. But this is just like a 90-minute movie, and it's delightful, and it's very sweet, and it's very sad at times, and it's very funny. And I really reckon I think it's one of the better movies this year. So I think that and Nope sort of back to back was a couple. There's a couple of
Awesome
really
weekend,
good,
yeah.
really good movies in theaters. I've also been catching up on movies that are not necessarily like huge movies, but bigger movies, because there's a podcast on the Comedy Bang Bang sort of like Patreon, what they call CBB World, which is like their kind of like Patreon where there's like a bunch of different shows. There's one that is
Okay.
called Scott Hasn't Seen, which is where Scott Aukerman watches movies that he hasn't seen with his co-host. So I've been catching up on that. So I've been watching movies that I hadn't seen that they've covered. That like I'm not watching every movie because some of them that they're covering I'm not interested in, or some I've seen or whatever. But because of that podcast, I watched Terms of Endearment, which was great from the '80s, which I thought was always like a tearjerker. Have you seen that? Do you know about that?
No. I mean, I know the name of it, but I've never seen it.
It won Best Picture in like '83. It's Shirley MacLaine and Deborah Winger. It's a mother-daughter movie, and it felt like, and I was just like, is this like a depressing like cancer movie or something? Because that's what it seems like. But like most of it is a comedy, and then it gets into some heavier stuff at the end. But like it's really funny and really really well acted, and so that was great. I watched Father the Bride, the not the original, but the one with Steve Martin from like 30 years ago, which was pretty good. Not great,
Okay.
but it was fun. And then I finally watched last night, which came out last year, the director's cut, the Stallone cut of Rocky 4. Did you know that
Oh,
came? Did you
fun.
know that existed?
No.
He directed a bunch of movies, but he directed Rocky 4, one of them in '85. And then last year he's like, I'm going to recut it with like, I think he said like 20 or 40 minutes of new material. It's like 8 minutes longer. He cut some stuff out. I think it's probably better, but I like the original one more because the original one is like kind of campier and more montages and just fun, more fun overall.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But this is pretty good. I'm glad that I saw this. I'm glad this existed. And then I also watched that new, to the ire of many Jane Austen heads, the new Persuasion on Netflix with Dakota Johnson, that people hate as an adaptation of that book. Apparently it's a terrible adaptation, but I haven't read that book, and I'm like, it's fine.
Okay.
I like Dakota Johnson, and I think it was kind of a fun movie. But like, I understand the criticisms people have of it, but I think if you are just a fan of like kind of like romance kind of movies or like whatever, it's good. Dakota Johnson's wonderful. I love her in all things. I have a crush on her, but I don't know. Like people just hate this movie. I'm like, I get it, but also I don't mind it. So I don't know. But the thing I want to talk about, I don't know if you've watched. I'm sure you probably have seen on Twitter the kind of like the hubbub. Do you know about? Have you guys watched The Rehearsal or no?
No. What is the rehearsal?
So The Rehearsal is Nathan Fielder's new show. It's on HBO. He did Nathan for You. He was a writer on John Benjamin Has a Van before that. But did you
Yeah.
guys watch Nathan for You or no?
Yep. Yep. And I loved it. It's very awkward, but I greatly enjoyed it.
So The Rehearsal is his new show on HBO Max. It's basically the same kind of thing, but with an HBO budget, so it's enormous. And so the first episode came out as we're recording this about a week and a half ago, and it was insane. It's one of the craziest hours of TV I've ever seen. And then last week, episode 2, I imagine probably kicked off what will be the story for the rest of the season. I don't know for sure because the episodes run
Is
Friday
this,
nights.
you said it's like Nathan for You though.
Yes,
it's along those
it's
lines.
docu-series where he kind of like manipulates people, sort of, or like finds weirdos and kind of lets them talk. And so
I saw bullshit I saw like tweets about like they're exploiting people like him and maybe Sacha Baron Cohen. I'm looping him in because he's done it too, but like him and a couple other comedians like exploit people because they like get them to say dumb shit.
yes,
and like you can criticize that but also enjoy it, and I was like, this is just like a very weird tweet.
Well, because one of the guys, the thing that like what came about this week is that the guy who's sort of the craziest person on this most recent episode, I guess gave an interview and he didn't like the way he came off. But even in the interview, he was explaining things he did and it almost made him seem worse. That guy's brother went on Twitter and was just like, no, like, thank you, Nathan, for like showing the world how much of a psychopath my brother actually is.
Whoa,
so,
okay.
Yeah, like there's like all this crazy stuff. And so people on Twitter now are talking about like whether or not it's manipulative, whether or not it's good, whether or not it's bad, whatever. But it's fascinating to sort of see the conversation because like Nathan, like it's not like he's making fun of people just to make fun of people. He's like making fun of people or like letting them, showcasing them in a way that kind of makes you think about like the way that people present themselves. And like, I don't know, maybe that's a rationalization that of something that like I really like his art. But there's a really kind of interesting like blowback back and forth with people online, like whether or not this is like ethical or okay.
Yes.
Either way, the rehearsal is great.
If you're coaxing somebody into doing something dumb, that's different from just letting them kind of free range roam into something dumb. And I think like people like him, people like Sacha Baron Cohen at points, what is it, the guy that like interviews all the people at the Trump rallies, what's
Andrew
his name, Jordan
Callahan.
Klepper.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They just like ask the questions to keep it going and let the people kind of like spiral and dig themselves into a hole.
Right.
And I think that's different than being like, hey, like, do you hate this thing? And they're like,
it's
yes.
It's not like the last thing where it's just like, well, when's the last time you hit your wife? He's like, well, you know, I never hit my wife. You ask leading questions that the way that they can maybe answer it or whatever. Like it's just like it makes them look bad. But there's a lot of tweets now like people say Nathan Fielder makes people like tricks people into saying things, and then like it's just like a clip of him like letting a person like back themselves into a corner, and it's like, and he just like, okay,
yes.
Like on episode 2. They go out to the car. It's this guy who, like, you know, gave the interview or whatever. Nathan, and he goes out to the car. The guy doesn't have a license plate. And he goes, do you think it's really safe are we allowed to drive without a license plate? He's just like, oh, yeah, man, I do it all the time. It's just like, that's not manipulative. It's just like, I know that they're probably screaming for, like, kind of a weirdo or whatever. And they're like.
And there's some editing, I'm sure.
But at the same time, it's not like they took the license plate off or they, like.
Yes.
They're like, no, the guy's just like, oh, yeah, no, like, it's fine. Don't worry about it. It's like, what? What? No, what? But yes, the rehearsal's great. There's only 2 episodes out now. By the time this comes out for the main feed, there'll be a 3rd episode. I think there's maybe only like 6 or something. They're on Friday nights, like at 11 o'clock, like one of those wild, like it was the same time slot that How To with John Wilson was on HBO. So, you know, mostly I just watch the next morning on HBO Max.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely worth it. I highly recommend the rehearsal. If you like Nathan Fielder, Nathan For You, all that kind of like awkward docu-series, let people back themselves into a corner, it's great. It's really, really good.
I'm down. I'm going to watch it. I saw people talking about him, but I didn't know why he was, like, back in the zeitgeist.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where, like, Nathan For You was really popular among, like, comedy nerds, but now that he's on HBO, even not on a weird time slot, I'm sure a lot of people opened HBO Max to this thing, like, with him, with, like, positioned with dolls, and like, this is weird. Like, let me watch this, and, like, it's so weird and so good. Like, it's incredible. So I think it just exposed his type of weirdness to a much broader audience. So yeah. The other thing that I watched, I don't know if you know about it, or maybe you guys watched, you might have, because it feels up your alley. Do you know about, have you guys seen The Bear on Hulu?
I saw things for it. I don't know if Rachel's watching it alone without me. I don't know. I never worked in a restaurant. The kid from Shameless is in it, who Rachel loves both of those things. So I feel like this isn't a show for me. Like, she will enjoy it so greatly that, like, I could only bring it down for her.
I just think it's really good. Like, there's
nothing,
what
I'm saying?
Yeah, I get that. I think that there's nothing about it that's, like, really special or unique. It's just, like, a really well-made show, and it's a half hour instead of an hour, which is great.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of really good actors in it, and, like, it's tense as hell, and it's just well-made and well-written, and I watched 2 episodes a day for, like, over the weekend, because, like, I was in the text thread where, like, everybody was talking. I'm like, all right, I guess I gotta watch this now. Like, I can't put this off. And so I watched it all, and, like, it's great. So if you have Hulu, I'd say check out The Bear. It feels like one of those shows that, like, maybe isn't, like, super popular, but it feels like people who, like, talk about TV are talking about this a lot right now. And I never worked in a restaurant really either. Like, I worked in an ice cream store for 9 months, which does not count. But, like, I think just as a fan of, like, well-written shit or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, it's just really good. So if Rachel's not watching, I'd say you guys should watch it, because the first episode is great. I mean, they're all really good, but the first episode's great, and then the one right before the end, the 7th episode, is really, really, really good too. And they're both tense as fuck. So, highly recommend The Bear on Hulu and The Rehearsal on HBO. So,
Nice.
yeah. Did I do anything else? Did I actually do anything in the last week? I don't know that I did. We recorded another episode of 1999, the podcast, about Boys Don't Cry, which is the first movie that I had not seen before the podcast. Terrible movie, very kind of transphobic and not great, but really good episode. That's out now. So we talked to Logan Ashley Keisner about that. So check that out on your 1999 the podcast feed. And looking ahead to tomorrow night, there might be something else that you and I have out by the time this episode comes out on the main feed. So if you know where to look for you and me stuff, keep your eyes peeled on the internet for other Joe and Joe content. Nothing more to be said about that until next week. But we have a Patreon page on the show, Too Fast, twoforever.com. Shout out to Cassie Wilson, Ben Milliman, Nick Burris, Alex Ellen, Justin Kleiman, Brian Rodriguez of High School Slumber Party, Haley Gerbies, West Hampton, Jerry Robinson, Dan the Duke, Hayden Renato, DiTonato, Michael McGann, Lane Middleton, Lindsay Lewandowski, Nate Milton of the Kings of Sport, Jason Rainey, and Jessica Collins, a.k.a. Montez. Thank you all so much for supporting us at the $5 a month level or above. If you want access to bonus episodes, swag and merchandise, early access to episodes, the minute document, the quizzes, all sorts of things, Too Fast, twoforever.com, even $1 a month gets you in the door. And we have an email address, family@cageclub.me. Joe, we have one email today from Emily C. Subject line, physical copies are great.
Okay.
Emily says, hey guys, I'm also one of those people who prefers to own physical copies of movies and shows rather than digital ones. With things jumping on and off streaming or just plain not available, I much prefer having physical copies on hand. I like to get the DVD and Blu-ray versions if possible so I can let people borrow the DVD copy and still have the Blu-ray copy to watch. Very smart.
Oh.
She says, my library has a little sales section. I picked up a bunch of DVDs from there. Sounds like deals all day at Rasputin Library. I recently got a couple of Jason Statham movies, as well as a bunch of classic Doctor Who serials. I get to own a physical copy that I can watch whenever I want and support my local library at the same time. When you were talking about the Christmas movies set in Southern California, it made me think of Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. I can't remember if you've brought it up before, but it's a neo-noir black comedy from 2005, directed by Shane Black that stars Robert Downey Jr. and Val Kilmer. It's definitely not perfect, but I think it's fun. Hope you all are doing well, Emily. Well, thank you for running in, Emily. Joe, have you seen Kiss Kiss Bang Bang?
No, I haven't.
It's great. I love it. I think we probably brought it up in here before because we've covered other ones of his movies. We probably talked about it on the Long Kiss Goodnight episode, but it's really, really, really good. So this Christmas, if you're looking for sort of like an alternative Christmas movie or whatever, or just, between now and then, whatever, highly recommend Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. It's great. So it's a pre-Iron Man Robert Downey. It's a Val Kilmer. It's Michelle Monaghan, who's great. Really, really good cast. I love that movie. I don't want to say it's one of my favorite movies, but it might be one of my favorite movies, so check it out. But that's all the emails for today. If you want to email in family@cageclub.me, we'll read it on the next episode. Joe, on the streets, news about the Fast and Furious. Anything you've seen in the last week about the Fastiverse?
I saw The Rock hosting Shark Week.
Yes, we talked about that. Mm-hmm. Have you watched it? Okay.
No, I wanted to put it on Sunday night because it was like the beginning of Shark Week, and it was like Shark Jackass.
Oh, what?
Was like the first. Okay. Dude, I don't know. It was like okay, like Shark Week begins like Sunday at 8, so I thought that it was gonna be like like Attack of the Biggest Sharks Ever, and instead it was like Jackass Sharks. And it was like Johnny Knoxville and all of them like doing like shark adjacent Jackass things, and I was like, this isn't what I was looking for in Shark Week. That's kind of weird, but I guess they have to appeal to like a bigger audience, maybe. I don't know. Yeah,
I guess Shark Week kind of attracts a certain kind of viewer, maybe, and so that's probably someone who might be aligned more with the Jackass crowd. I don't know. I like Jackass, but I don't know if I necessarily need to see.
Especially to like kick it off. You know what I mean? Like that was the other thing. So I was like, I don't know how I feel about this, and so I saw that, and then I think today I saw videos of Vin at the Coliseum.
Like the Roman Coliseum?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Like he was like there and he got out of a car that was like maybe for a shot. It seemed like it was for a shot.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of like set pictures and sort of promo pictures running around. Like nothing that's super that exciting, but like all stuff that's kind of like happening around. I know that Reaction Rocket tweeted us an interview that Michelle Rodriguez gave with Deadline, about how they still have another like month to shoot, but she's done, but she's going to have more Letty. So either like, they're going to shoot part 2 separately or maybe more or who knows what. But like, it's that kind of thing where it's like, people are kind of guessing. And I'm not saying like Reaction Rock is guessing, but like, we're all just like, does this mean this? Does this mean that? Like, what does this actually mean?
Yeah.
There is apparently a Fast and Furious joke in the Shazam trailer when they're talking to Helen Mirren. So that's all about family. So that's kind of fun.
Oh, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then Dope D tweeted us last night about GTA Online introducing their version of Mr. Nobody, someone they call Agent ULP. So I guess kind of like a, not that Mr. Nobody is the first of his kind, but it's cool to see like the lineage carry on.
That is cool.
I feel like I say this a lot, but we got to be sort of close-ish maybe to a trailer, possibly? I guess the first trailer was
I think it has to be like Thanksgiving
February.
or Christmas, right?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe we're not close.
But you're right. But it was like February or something.
I feel like because it was the whole like, remember that event in Miami we talk about? That was the first trailer for the movie coming out in May. So I don't know. Maybe we're not close to it. Maybe we're 6 months out. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Couldn't tell you. But I think that's all the news. Like no actual news, just things sort of happening in the sphere. But if you have news, tweet at us, email us. We'll talk about it on the next episode. Dwayne Johnson still not in Fast X, just too busy with sharks to be in the Fast movies. So the final thing to do before we take a break and talk about Den of Thieves is the Fast and Furious Minute, the Too Fast, Too Furious Minute, minute 69, a minute I called micromanagement.
Now the gun is right now!
Enough. Shut up. It's over. Come on. It's over. Let's go. Sour gun. Come on. Let's go. I'm glad to see you boys are getting along so well. Because tomorrow, Roberto and Enrique are going to be riding along with you. Just so we don't have any problems. I'll see you guys in a bit.
What the hell was she doing in there, man?
Where'd you go this morning?
Went to breakfast with some friends.
With friends.
In this minute, Brian, Roman, Enrique, and Roberto continue to fight outside Brian's boat. Carter Verone appears and de-escalates the situation. Brian hands over the gun he has. Carter explains that Enrique and Roberto will be riding along with Brian and Roman on the job they're about to pull. Carter and his men walk off as Roman begins to question Brian. We then cut to Carter's estate, where Monica is sunbathing by the pool. Carter begins to question Monica on her whereabouts that morning as the minute ends. And Joe, my one big question to you is, why is Carter so, like, micromanaging, like the name of the minute? Like, why is he there? Why does he not trust Enrique and Roberto to deliver this message? Like, why is he also going to the boat? Why are they all there?
We learn, like, in the second half of the minute that Carter is suspicious of Monica being with Brian.
Okay.
So I think that's the only reason why he's there, because he's trying to confront them, catch them. And also, he's just, like, neurotic, man. We've learned this before, you know what I mean? Like, he wants ultimate control. So I think that you're right, he is micromanaging a lot. At the same time, he's always kind of done this.
If you think about what he's actually delivering, like, hey, Enrique and Roberto are going to ride along with you. That's the same thing that, like, when they show up to the job tomorrow or whenever it is, he's like, oh, yeah, they're going with you. And, like, they can't say anything about it then, right? So, like, he doesn't even have to come. So I guess it makes sense that he's going there specifically, explicitly for Monica.
Yeah, he's looking for Eva Mendes, for sure. Because when he comes back, like, the first thing he says to her is, like, where were you this morning? Right? Because, that's the only reason why that's what I'm thinking they're alluding to here.
Yeah. And then the back half of the minute, like I mentioned, we're back at Carter's estate at the same pool that we were at before. We got Monica in that white bikini that people know about from the movie, but we're, it's not really new stuff. But what did you notice? Is there anything new either on the boat or at the estate that we haven't talked about before?
Yes, I saw that there's like at least three tanks on the boat. On the front of the houseboat we get a shot of this time. Possibly Nas tanks. Quite possibly not.
Oh, those
but
like
also
purple tanks, right at his feet or whatever? Yeah, I saw those this time. I didn't know if we had talked about them before, but okay, cool.
No,
cool.
we haven't. And then there's some rims. I think I got most of the boat number from the boat that's behind Carter when they show it. But we have something that we kind of like mentioned before. I confirmed this time, and also think might be a good prospect for the question.
Okay.
Roman is definitely wearing a The Answer wristband.
We've talked about that before. We've seen that before.
We saw Answer, and we were like, is that like, does it just say Answer? Does it say The Answer? He has to mean Allen Iverson, right? Like, based on timing and stuff like that.
We had in minute 51, which is the race, the beginning of that race that we spent like 2 months talking about. We had Roman wearing Allen Iverson, presumably The Answer black sweatband on his right wrist.
Okay.
And then, yes, I saw it again, like when he's got one of them by the throat, you can see it again on his right wrist.
So I was thinking about maybe asking a question about, like, you know, like what famous basketball player is he wearing a wristband of? I'm not super sold on it, but I thought that was like the most interesting part of this minute. And we kind of get like a nice shot of it. It's clear. It's there.
I like that. I like the question I have, too. The only thing I want to say before we get there is that the music, the score, song, house, boat, visitors ends, and Monica's reply begins. So one ends one scene, the next begins in the next scene. So those are two things there. The question I had written down is, where does Monica tell Carter she was the morning she visited Brian on the boat at breakfast with some friends? We could do The Answer. I just don't know. It's one of those things again where we're not 100% sure. Does it say Iverson or just says The Answer? Like I know it. I can picture.
It says The Answer.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me bring this back up again. I want to take another look at it. Yeah, it just says The Answer, which is probably Iverson. But like if it said like The Answer 3 or like a Sixers logo or an NBA logo, but like I don't know what else it could be. Do you like my question? Or do you not like my question?
I don't mind it.
We could also just say. We could do a sort of a spin on yours about the wristband, because I do like that. But we could say, instead of like what basketball player, just like what does the wristband that Roman's wearing say?
Ooh. And it could be like Jumpman, Black Mamba.
Sure. Yeah, because like that's
the answer. Oh, that's good.
That's
I like
less
that. Shakes hands.
Guessworky, right? That's just like, because now we've seen this twice in two different scenes. It's definitely small, but we've talked about it twice, and it's visible twice. I think it's fair.
Yeah, I like that. I'll shake hands on that. I like that one.
What does the wristband that Roman is wearing throughout the movie say? The Answer. What were the other ones you said? Black Mamba.
Yeah, Jumpman.
And Just Do It. How about that?
Okay.
Like another
I like that.
Another kind of Nike-ish in the thing, like...
Yeah, that's perfect. I like that. They're of the time. It makes sense. That works.
Yeah, so we got Iverson, Kobe, Jordan, and just sort of like basketball as a whole. Yeah, that works.
Yeah.
So minute 69, micromanagement. What does the wristband that Roman is wearing throughout the movie say? The answer is... The answer. That's a real who's on first situation. That's the answer.
Oh.
Well, no, what's the answer?
It's Megan Kelly trying to talk about the... Remember, it's on you. It was on me.
Oh, yes. I remember that.
Yeah.
So in a text thread today, my friend was like, I'm at the movies. And I'm like, what are you seeing? And he just said, nope. And another friend was just like, come on, answer him. Which is another kind of dumb dad joke, but like,
yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
I also liked in Nope every time he said nope, because he says like 2 or 3 times, just like, nope.
Nope. Yeah.
There was another thing. Oh, I watched on Hulu last week the movie Fresh, which is a horror movie with Daisy Edgar Jones, who is from Normal People, and she's in that new movie Where the Crawdads Sing, and also Sebastian Stan, who plays the Winter Soldier. And there's a scene, like it's a kind of like, people, I liked it a lot more than a lot of my Letterboxd friends liked it, but
okay.
It's one of those, I can see why people are kind of upset, like not upset, but like I've seen this before, it's like kind of like one of those empowerment, like the women are gonna like handle it in the end or whatever. And there's a scene at the end where like it kind of feels like the end of Get Out, where like a guy sort of shows up to like maybe save the day or whatever, and then he hears a gunshot. He's like, "Nope, I'm getting out of here." He just drives away, which is like, yeah, like that's how people would react normally, right? Just like, "Nope, I'm good." Like
me,
because it's like one of those. He's not sure if he's in the right place or not. Like it might be, it might not be. And he's like, "Nope, I'm good." And so the same thing in Nope. Whenever Daniel Kaluuya would be like, "Nope," just was very good. Sort of vague spoilers for all sorts of things, but not really actual spoilers. But
no.
Anything else to say about minute 69 micromanagement?
No, I hope that we actually don't stay in front of the pool for very long, because I feel like the Monica and Carter situations are always just like...
unnecessarily long?
unnecessarily long, like hyper aggressive by him for no reason. Like he feels like a psychopath, and then when you watch it like over and over and over again, and you're just like this man is like just terrible. So
Yeah.
I hope that we're not there for a very, very long time. That's my only next thoughts. But I feel like we're not. I don't remember that scene being very long.
Think so, but again, like I said this a handful of minutes ago, I know every scene in this movie. I don't know where we go next. I would assume we go to the job, but there might be other scenes. Like I wouldn't remember, like, because I think we were talking about like the boat, like where does he go? I wouldn't have remembered that they go back to the pool. You know what I mean? Like that's not something that like is like the order of operations or whatever, right? So I don't know where we go next. I don't know what the next scene is, but I know that there's going to be the job soon. So cool. Like we only have half an hour of the movie left.
Yeah,
there's not that much.
Have to like jump the boat onto the car and do the scramble and everything.
Pocket scene empty, cause all that, right? So we know a lot. I just don't know immediately what's next. But I can't imagine. I would guess if we had to put money on it, we're going to leave the pool in the next minute. We might not though. I don't know, but I hope also we leave the pool in the next minute.
Same.
Okay, let's take a break and let's come back and let's talk about Den of Thieves.
Welcome back to Too Fast, Too Forever. This is episode number 249, Den of Thieves. This episode is brought to you by A Crane Machine. Whether you're repairing, cleaning, working, or winter storaging your boat, you can get a marine hoist from them. Shout out to A Crane Machine.
Well, shout out to A Crane Machine. Welcome back to Too Fast, Too Forever. Talking about Den of Thieves, which now is streamable on Netflix if you want to watch this before you listen. I know that Jason Rainey tweeted us like this was on his list already, and he liked the way that we described it, so he's going to watch it. So, Jason, hopefully you watched it before you listen to this.
Listen, yeah.
It is long. It's 2 hours and 20 minutes. There is the director's cut on the Blu-ray. I watched, which I don't think you need to watch based on the differences. But this is a movie that I'd seen a while ago. I think I teased it last week. Like, I like this more than most of my Letterboxd friends. But, Joe, this is your first time watching it. What did you think of Den of Thieves?
I really, really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was a lot of fun, was very captivated by it. The cast seemed like something that was picked directly from my brain to make a heist movie, right? Mm-hmm. Ice Cube Jr., you got Zabodka from The Wire, you got 50 Cent, who I'm a big fan of. I was watching a bunch of like 50 Cent interviews real drunk a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
He's an awesome dude, by the way. I don't know if you ever like...
He's in a Nicolas Cage movie. Did you know that?
No, really?
He's in a movie called Oh, actually, this is another movie that's almost like picked from your brain.
What?
This is wild. Listen to this cast. It's called The Frozen Ground. It's set in Alaska. Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
Vanessa Hudgens.
Okay.
50 Cent playing a gangster with long hair.
With long hair?
Uh-huh. Terrible wig. And Hank from Asac Schrader from Breaking Bad, Dean Norris.
Insane. Yeah,
the movie's not great. The movie's not very good. I've seen it 3 times, I think, because, Cage Club and all sorts of stuff, like, whatever, but that's a weird, like this, like, that's a meeting of the minds in ways that are like, I don't know how this comes together, but, like this makes more sense than, like, that's a weird combination. This is, like, a slightly weird combination, but, like, still disparate worlds coming together in your brain.
Yeah, that's really, really weird. Very strange, both of those. But go ahead, Den of Thieves.
Den of Thieves, if you have not seen this yet, if you do not want to watch it, it is a gritty crime saga which follows the lives of an elite unit of the LA County Sheriff's Department and the state's most successful bank robbery crew as the outlaws plan a seemingly impossible heist on the Federal Reserve Bank. And we are thrust into this movie with the title text 2,400 times a year, 44 times a week.
This was like one of my biggest qualms with this movie is that they introduce characters, times, places, and things all with the same font in the same place throughout the movie.
And not, like, consistently.
No. Like, sometimes you'll be in a new city, they'll show you the name of the city. Sometimes they'll show you a new character, show you the name of the character. Same font, same place, same style, every time.
2,400 times a year, 44 times a week, 9 times a day. Every 48 minutes a bank is robbed here. this is the bank robbery capital of the world, which I feel like is the same thing, like the same kind of opening text that we will see in The Town, which, spoiler, we are covering later this lap. But I feel like it's the same kind of thing, like, this is the bank robbery capital of the world. It's like, you can't both be the bank robbery capitals of the world. Like, one of you is lying. I don't know which, but it's either Boston or it's LA. It can't be both.
I think it might be LA just because there's like, just it's so big, right?
Yeah, there's probably more, right? Maybe The Town's is like per capita. I don't know. When are we doing The Town? Hold on. We're doing The Town. Oh, it's a Patreon bonus episode to wrap up the lap. So in September, we will cover that. So we'll have to wait till then to find out how it positions itself. But okay. Not a lot of trivia about this movie. Oh, the way to describe it, what I was saying before about Jason, is like, it's kind of dirtbag Heat. Like, it's kind of a Heat knockoff in that we are seeing the cops and the criminals together. Like, we're not just, like, focusing on one of them. We're kind of seeing both and seeing their interplay. But, like, the top letterbox review is that it's Heat by way of Monster Energy drink. And, like, it just kind of, like, I can see why people are like, oh, this is, like, a weird kind of, like, B-movie knockoff. But, like, I think it works.
I really, really did enjoy it. I don't think there was anything new or spectacular in it.
Nope.
But it was just fun, man.
Yeah.
It was fun. It was captivating. I liked Gerard Butler's half an accent, half not an accent.
He is going for something in this, and I don't exactly know what he's going for, but he's going for something.
He's trying. He definitely is.
So there's not a ton of trivia, like I was saying, for this. Gerard Butler, the aforementioned Gerard Butler, who plays Big Nick. Great name.
Yeah,
he
what's his
25
last
pounds
name? Milliman?
No, that is Sabatka, Nikki Sabatka.
Yes, okay.
Pablo Schreiber. His name is Merriman.
Merriman, yes.
He's Big Nick. He says at some point, but he goes, like, his title card, as you were saying, like, when they, like, describe who he is, it just says Big Nick.
Oh, okay.
He gained 25 pounds for the role as the director's request. I think I mentioned last time that this director had only like, the only movie he's ever directed is this. And he's doing a sequel. Maybe it's this guy, Christian Gudegast. I don't know. But he directed this. He's doing Den of Thieves 2 Pantera and a movie called Mafia X.
So they made a Den of Thieves 2, or they're making it?
It's in pre-production. They're in, because, like, spoiler, almost everyone dies.
Yeah.
So yeah. I don't know what Den of Thieves 2 even could be.
Well, I mean, it ends at, like, pretty much what it could be, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Of note for us, I did not know this, but Christian Gudegast, the guy who directed this, wrote the film A Man Apart, the Vin Diesel movie, directed by F. Gary Gray. So he's most known for Den of Thieves, then Man Apart. So a little bit of a fast connection there. Have you seen A Man Apart? I have not seen A Man Apart. Do you?
No,
have
I
you seen
haven't.
A Man Apart?
No, I haven't. That's why I was, yeah.
I think similar to Heat, 2 separate boot camps were run to get the cops and robbers in shape for their roles, both groups training separately to enforce a rival atmosphere.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, nice.
And there's a couple scenes we'll talk about, like the run-ins between the groups before the actual heist goes down. And Gerard Butler and his crew are loosely based on former ATF agent Jay Dobbins, who consulted on the film. He's best known for his undercover work and willingness to infiltrate crime organizations like Gerard Butler's character. Dobbins makes a cameo in the film at the bar Donnie works at, closing his tab. So he's in the movie barely, but like it's based on a real guy. So just like how Michael Mann, had that guy that he consulted on from, like, at least Thief through Heat. This guy's also, like, I think when a movie feels real, it's like, oh yeah, because probably either a cop or a criminal was there making sure that they got it right?
Yeah, I think so too.
But that's, like, all the trivia. Like, there's not a ton of trivia about this. There's not a lot of actually good trivia. So kind of a bummer in that regard. Like, you feel like, but I think that, like, people just kind of wrote this movie off as, like, a not great movie or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that it's just because, like, I don't know. A lot of times a complaint that we have is that there was, like, nothing new and interesting in this movie. And I think this movie kind of actually benefits from that. Like, it is comforting in a similar way that I find comfort in a Lifetime movie that, like, it's not new, spectacular, necessarily that interesting, but, like, you put a bunch of different people together, and, like, you give me something that, like, is enjoyable and mushy, and I was like, oh, I really like this, and I think that other people would be like, well, like, this wasn't but also, like, people like really weird heist movies that I think aren't very cool either, but it's just because, like, they don't know what it's based on. Right? Like, I think maybe this movie suffers because, like you're saying, it reminds you so much of Heat. So people are like, oh, this is like Heat. But then people will watch another movie and be like, oh, this was the greatest movie ever. And it's like, well, it's just like a knockoff of a Korean movie that you've never seen, right?
Right. Yes. Yeah. And like, I think that, when we tweeted the thing, like we tweet every week, like what movie you're going to do next week, fan favorite Garrett Smith responded. He's just like, I kind of laughed it off at the time. Like it was just kind of like dumb, whatever. But like, since this movie came out, even 4 years ago, like there hasn't been movies that are kind of like this. Like I'm almost happy for something that's like a pretty good version of a thing I really like. Cause like people don't really make this anymore.
Yeah.
So it's not, it again, like you said, it's not breaking new ground, but it's doing something well. It's fun. It's interesting. Gerard Butler eats a donut off the ground, like they're like covered in blood. Like it's just like there's weird things happening here. It's just like, okay, cool. Like there's worse movies you can watch. There are better movies you can watch, but there's more bad movies that like this is pretty good. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it's above average.
Yeah.
By all across the board, right? Like casting, characters, everything. It's above average. But like, is it great in anything? Probably not.
But it's also not bad at anything, right? Like it's just good.
Yeah, it's just enjoyable. As I was watching this movie, I was thinking, and I'm talking like early in the movie, I was thinking like, man, you know what? I said Ice Cube Jr., Rachel called him Ice Chip.
Sure. Okay. Chip off the old block. I like that.
Do we not want to see Ice Chip join the family in Fast and the Furious? Wouldn't he be a great fucking addition?
He really would be.
We talk about like all of these like people that like we're missing and like new people and like the diversity and like we have Ludacris. Like wouldn't it be cool to see like Ice Chip in the movies?
I think so. Absolutely. He also like this exact character fits because like he is the driver and like.
But he's not. So go ahead.
So he's recruited. So the twist of this movie is that, to take a step back, Ice Chip works at a bar that is frequented by both cops and criminals. Like they call it like neutral ground. It's got cheap liquor, so everybody goes there.
It's a house. It's like a German bar. Yeah.
And so he is kind of recruited by both sides in this movie. The Gerard Butler abducts him after he gets off shift at the bar and brings him back. He's like, we know you're, in cahoots with these felons and we want to stop them before they take down this bank. And the felons are like, we can vouch for him. He did time inside. He's solid. He was
a great race car driver.
Yeah. He did a season. He got pulled over doing 178. And they're like, what was your excuse? He's just like, man, he just paved the road, right? Like, it's just like, how are you going to like let that go to waste? But the twist of the movie, and it's something that, did you see coming? Because I don't think that I did the first time.
I didn't. I had no, I mean, like, not that I didn't expect something coming, but like, and like once it happens, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, that's not like super, but at the same time, I didn't see it coming. It's
something that's set up in a way that like isn't immediately obvious, but he's like, I can, they even repeat the line at the end. I don't remember the exact line, but it's basically like, I got everybody eating out of the palm of my hand, right? Like he's able to like,
I can survive anywhere type situation. Yeah.
And we find out that he has basically played both sides, that he masterminded this thing to get away with the entire heist, almost pulling a Fast Five, where he recruits a separate team to do a switcheroo on the garbage trucks, right?
Yes.
Where he swaps out the bagged money for like styrofoam or whatever.
No, it was the shreddings. It was the shredded money.
Okay, yes. Well, yeah, they call it styrofoam, but yeah, it's the shredded money. Because the whole thing is, there's this bank in LA, the Federal Reserve Bank of Los Angeles, that's never been robbed. Because they have like all this crazy money, like all this crazy, security procedures. Every bill is cataloged. There's like 500, I think they say $500 billion at any one point, which I'm like, this feels like a lot of money.
I thought so too. Yeah, they said something like 500 billion, and I was like, that seems like a ton of money. But they say it's like the bank for banks, right? Like all the banks deposit their money there when they like deposit the money, like and get rid of all the cash on hand. The banks deposit their money there. They also, and then like what Joey's getting to is that like they also find bills that need to be taken out of circulation because they're like damaged or whatever.
They call unfit for circulation.
Yes, and then they, take those, shred them, print new ones, and replace them with those.
Yes, and so basically the same way that, like, someone for the mob will like clean money. They're essentially doing this, but like legally. They're just like this money's no good, so they get rid of all this old money. They shred it. They like replace it with new money, like you were just saying. But at any one given time, there's like $30 million in this like unfit money that hasn't been shredded.
That they shred every day or whatever,
Yes.
every week, whatever. I don't know, but they shred at certain intervals. Yeah.
The heist of this movie is that they're going to get in this bank that cannot be robbed, basically, and steal this money. Because like, if you steal marked bills, as soon as you like spend it, like you get flagged, like you get arrested and you get caught, whatever.
But these they delete first before they shred them.
Yes, which seems like a bad system, but also whatever.
Seems pretty dumb, but hey, we've seen and heard worse.
Whatever.
Yeah.
This is the ultimate heist, but we get to it in a different way. So anyway, we'll get through the movie, but in the end, we find out that Ice Chip has played both sides, that he walks away with all of the money, and he has quit his job as the bartender and owns his own restaurant across the street from, like, in the Diamond District, across the street from this, like, you know, Diamond building. And that, I guess, would be Den of Thieves 2. What was not Anthrax. It was some band. I just said it. What was the name of the thing?
Oh, you're right. Fuck, it was another metal band. Pantera?
You made the joke. Yeah, Pantera. Yes.
Yes.
Similar. Right. So I guess that could be what it is. Like, it has to be about him, right? And, like,
it has to be
Gerard
him
Butler
doing
maybe coming for him or something, right?
Yeah, and the Diamond thing.
Yeah.
They set it up for a second when I was actually disappointed. Like, when I finished this movie, I was like, oh, man, this would, like, I would actually watch the sequel of this, even though you killed 50 Cent, even though you killed Zabotka from The Wire, like, I still want to see another one of these, because, like, Ice Chip did great. Then, like, as long as we have him, like, we can replace some other people and, like, add some other things into there, and it would be really cool.
Was that guy at the end who is, like, the diamond guy, is he, like, an MMA guy?
It seems
because he's got
so
the cauliflower
much so.
ears, right? Like,
yes.
He looks like a guy. And I Googled who's the guy at the end of Den of Thieves, and I went to one of those websites that, like, Den of Thieves explained. Like, there's something to explain, right? It's just like, well, like, Den of Thieves explained. And it's like, the guy at the end is O'Shea Jackson Jr. I'm like, no, motherfucker. Like, he's in the entire movie. And I got so mad, I just, like, closed my laptop. I'm just like, I can't do this.
I think you're 100% right. It's an MMA guy. I forget his name, but yes, I think so.
Because he has, like, the telltale, like, cauliflower ears and just, like, is an enormous guy. Like, he doesn't look like a diamond. Like, it's like Uncut Gems. You watch that, like, it's all just, like, old Jewish men who are, like, do the Diamond District, right? Like, it's just, like, this guy does not fit that. But I figured he was somebody. I couldn't figure it out, and I got so mad at Google. At that one website, I'm just like, I'm good. I'm done.
Fun IMDb fact for Wes here.
Yes.
Guy
truly. It wasn't IMDb. It was some other website. But I was just like, God damn it. But like Heat, this movie starts out with a heist of an armored truck and sort of an unnecessarily killing of a guard. And I'm like, oh, he's our wing girl. Like, he's our loose cannon. But like, that guy, like, for a movie that sort of sets up both sides so well, I feel like there's a lot of characters like we don't really know, because it's like you kind of need to know Gerard Butler, O'Shea Jackson Jr., and Pablo Schreiber, who's Sabaka from The Wire. Like, those are the three people you need to know.
Yeah,
like, everybody else exists in their orbit, but I'm just like, I don't know who that guy killed. I don't know his name. I don't know anything about him. He's just like a bad dude, and that's all I got. I'm like, okay, so like I get it, but I also kind of wish that I had more.
It does start out very tense though, which I really liked. Like, it starts in like pretty much the middle of a heist.
Yeah, and we find out that they're stealing an empty armored truck to use in the later heist, because like a lot of this, like, knowingly and unknowingly, is setting up later stuff, right?
They're prepping. They're doing the pre-heist collection, where like in Fast and Furious, we're like, I know a dude. Here's my safe. But in reality, they're like, oh, like they have to steal an armored truck. They can't just like order one.
Yeah, because like they're not like superhumans, right? They're not
exactly.
They're not automancers.
I have a question for you that kind of leads off my like last and first question about having Ice Chip in Fast and Furious, and it's something that I think might blow our whole theme game for this lap up. Does every good heist team need to have a former rapper on it?
Oh, you mean like Ludacris or Ice Chip or
50 Cent? Well,
50 Cent. I guess Ice Chip is not really a rapper, but he's the descendant of a rapper, so rapper adjacent.
You have Law & Order SVU has Ice-T on it.
I guess so, maybe.
Right?
Or it's just like, heist movies are kind of easy entry points for people who are maybe not necessarily the best actors. Like, can you look tough and act tough? Yeah.
Four brothers. We have Marky Mark and Andre 3000.
It's true. Although that is better acted than most of these other ones, but like 50 Cent does not need to like do any real heavy lifting here. He just has to like look ripped.
Yeah, exactly.
Which he does.
He
Job
looks
looking
great.
ripped.
He does. He looks great.
Also, he has the funniest, like, it's a scene that I forgot about. As soon as it started, I was just like, oh, I remember this. But his daughter was going to prom.
You found this funny? I hate this scene.
I loved it because I think because it's very cliche, because I feel like I've seen it before.
And it fits the tone of the movie. Is that what it was for you? Because, like, I hated it because it was cliche. And I also hate the, like, I am so over the idea that, like, hey, like, we watch a lot of stupid dating shows, right? So this is where this is stemming from. And, like, even last night, I'm watching the latest season of 90 Day Fiancé, right? The fiancé is from Brazil, and she's out dress shopping with his sister, okay? And she's like, because I'm the older sister, I gotta ask you some questions. And I'm like, can we just get fucking over? I'm so sick of this. Like, like, if you're taking my daughter out for prom... Like,
well, I think what works about this. So the scene that we're talking about is 50
go ahead,
Cent's
describe it.
Daughter's prom date comes to pick her up.
Yes.
And the mom is so excited. She's like, "Oh my god, you guys look so cute together." And 50's like, "Let me have a word with you in the garage."
Yes.
And he brings her in the garage, and it basically looks like Hobbs Customs, like all these like Samoa, like these like
It's every part of the criminal team that's about to pull this heist, like all the Samoans, like
yes, it's
everybody.
Everyone, and it's like literally 12 jacked dudes.
More, maybe 20.
Yeah, there's a bunch of dudes, and 50's like, "You're gonna take care of my daughter. You're gonna get her back on time. You're gonna love her. You're gonna cherish her. Like I'm passing her over to you. Like it's been my responsibility to keep her safe. And like for the first time tonight." It's your responsibility. Are you gonna do? And the kid's like, yeah, I guess so. And then they walk out of the garage, and I think what sells it for me is two things. I think number one, it's the fact that they all crack up, like they're in on the joke, that they know that they're just fucking with this kid. Like it's not like they're not being protected to be protective; they're being protected to be assholes. Like they think it's funny to be mean.
I think
to
that
this
makes
kid,
it worse.
I think it's better. I also think the more meta reading of this is that the whole movie, they're like, we're going to take down the bank that's never been robbed. We're going to do a thing that no one has ever done before. I don't remember what... I read the differences. I don't remember what's in the director's cut, what's in the theatrical. But in the beginning of the movie, when Pablo Schreiber gets out of jail and he's walking out, and the guard says, "See you soon," and he goes, "No,
yes.
you won't."
Yep. Yeah.
There's this confidence to him that either he's not going to get... Like, there's the one reading like he's going to go clean, which obviously he's not going to go clean.
No.
There's the other reading that like he's just not going to get caught this time, or that he's like just like 2 years in Lompoc and never going back. Whatever.
That's the exact thing that I thought. It's more like 2 years in Lompoc. I ain't never going back. I'll be dead, or like you ain't gonna get. I'll die before I go back to jail.
Yes, and so I think what works for me about this scene is that the entire movie, for the first the hour plus that we have before we get to this point, we have this crew of guys who have the hubris to say, we're going to not only going to rob a bank and get away with it, which is already like a crazy proposition. We're going to rob a bank that's never been robbed before, and we're going to get away, and no one's ever going to be the wiser. And we find out in the end, they were wrong. Like, even if they lived, they would have gotten had, right? Like, they got duped. Like, it wasn't that they just got killed not in the line of duty, but like in the field. They got taken by Ice Chip. And so I think there's something really funny about the perceived machismo of these guys. Like, we can't be stopped. We're on top of the world. We're going to fuck this kid's day up. And then, like, an hour later, they get had too. So I think there's kind of an irony there that, like, they think they are bulletproof and they're bullying this kid or whatever, just trying to be fun, like fucking around with this kid. At the same time that O'Shea Jackson Jr. is basically doing the same kind of thing to them.
That's kind of, working them. Okay, fair.
But I also just think it's funny that, like, they're in on the joke. That they're like, this has been seen in every movie. Like, I need to take, like, we're going to have a conversation. And I just think that them laughing at, I think it's one of the times where, like, the script, like, the screenwriter gives away that, like, we know this is cliche, but we're in on it.
Okay.
So I think, like, without that, it's just like, does he know that he's making a movie that's been made before? But I think here it's like there's enough of a twist that for me, I get why you might not like it, but for me, I'm like, yeah, okay, I like it. I think it works.
Yeah, no, it's a personal thing that, like, I hate all of these traditionalisms of parenting that are, like, now carried on Like, why do you have to be like, you're not allowed to have a girlfriend? Or, you know what I mean? Like, any of these type of, like things like an older aunt or uncle would say to you, I hate it. I'm just like, let's just get rid of that. Can we just, like, be like adults and normal people? You know what I mean? Like, he could have easily been like, hey, like, look, like, you got to bring my daughter home at 11:30. Don't be an asshole. And, like, the same thing happens, right? Like, you don't have to be like, oh, here's 40 jack dudes in my garage that are threatening you.
Like, I think that's what would happen in a normal thing. But, like, if that's what happened in this scene, in this movie, like, we wouldn't see that in the movie. Because there's also another scene, it's showing 50 as a family guy, but I think it's setting these guys up as kind of, like, douchey dudes. Like, I think the fact that they're terrible is the point.
Okay.
I think. I don't know, but that's why I like it.
Yeah, I was definitely hung up on the surface of it, right? And, like, that is off-putting to me, so I couldn't get beyond that. But as you explain it, I could see your rationalization for this. I accept your explanation.
I just think it's too dumb, too cliche in a movie that, like, is not cliche but has been done before. I think it's too extreme on that front to not be
tongue-in-cheek.
Right, there's something more to that. Because, like, later, there's a scene in the director's cut where, like, they go back to 50 and his daughter and, like, checking in after prom. Like, did he treat you right? So, like, it's a weird, like, they're really kind of pushing that. Like, there's like 30 seconds. Like, I don't know why that's there, but, like, they're trying to do, like, they're trying to set him up as a family man. There's also, like, at the Hibachi Steakhouse, like, the family dinner. Like, they're trying to set these guys up as, like, you know, a traditional whatever. I don't know. I really like that, though. Like, I can see why you'd be like, fuck these guys. Like, this is dumb. But it worked for me, so.
Cool. That's fair. That was a good compromise. I definitely see your end, and I think that you understand mine, too.
Yeah. I do think that Hibachi Steakhouse, like, there's a series of run-ins between, like, Gerard Butler is, like, a real, like, loose cannon. Like, he's almost, again, a cliche kind of, but, like, you know, an unhinged detective who's, like, fucking around with his wife, and she catches him and kicks him out, or, like, you know, she leaves the house or whatever.
Also, he's just like he shows up, like, when he first picks up O'Shea Jackson, he tasers him in the throat.
Yep.
Kidnaps him, and then sits him down and is like, here's my Punisher. Well, it's not Punisher. What is it, like, Revengers or something? But essentially a Punisher tattoo, and it's like, you're not the bad guys, we're the bad guys. Like, we're not going to arrest you, we're just going to beat the shit out of you.
Yep.
Like, we're bad cops. Which is funny when you were saying earlier, like, the fact that it was, like, based on a guy, I'd be like, really? Like, you'd make yourself... Like, the only thing that guy left out was that there was, like, cocaine on the table with all those hookers there, right?
Well, yeah, because it's like he brings it back to this, like, hotel room with all of his buddies and, like, 4 or 5 strippers or whatever.
This was one of my favorite scenes because in every wall in that hotel room it says no smoking.
Well, there's, like, he's lighting up in every, like, he smokes in the gun range. Like, he's just,
That's what I'm saying. He's smoking everywhere, but in that hotel room specifically, there's, like a foldy thing on the table. Every single wall has a no smoking sign, and he's just chain smoking the whole time in this room. And I was like, incredible. That was, like, a joke that I really liked.
I think that's, like, probably what this guy loves about it. Just like, yeah, I'm a cop who doesn't play by the rules, man. Like, I
exactly.
I slept with strippers, whatever. And, like, he probably loves this portrayal of himself, right? Like, it's just like, yeah, man, I'm cool. Because, like, Gerard Butler is a good cop in that he's a terrible cop. Like, he's just, like, he's kind of the Brian thing, but, like, a dirtbag Brian.
Yes. He's
scumbag just, like, a real piece of shit, right? But, like, there's something funny about just how unhinged Gerard Butler plays him. Like I said before, in that opening scene, there's the heist of the armored truck, and there's, you know, the guard gets killed, and, like, it's outside this donut shop, and when he shows up the next morning, there's a box of donuts that's, like, spattered with blood that he opens up and eats a donut, and then throws the remnant of the donut on the crime scene. And the guy's like, the Fed that, like, you know, they're in this, like, dick contest with, it's just like, what are you doing?
You threw it into the hot zone.
He hasn't played by anybody's rules but himself. But it's like, yeah, but, like, I think it's so extreme that it's funny. Like, I don't want to say this, like, on the level of, like, Fight Club or whatever, where, like, it's parroting the people who love this, but I think to a certain extent, like, people are like, oh my god, this guy is so cool. It's like, well, yeah, he's kind of an asshole.
The worst.
Like,
he's the worst. Yeah, exactly.
And I think, like, he's so extreme. Like, they're going so far beyond. Like, I think like De Niro and Pacino and Heat are, like, somewhat realistic
True.
people.
Yeah, grounded.
This might be realistic, but it's also just like, oh, this is terrible.
Yes, they feel more realistic. Gerard Butler might actually be more realistic in the worst possible way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's funny. So I didn't have a ton of fast connections for this movie that we haven't already covered.
Okay.
But you know what I did have a bunch of? Wire connections.
Okay. Well, you got Sabaka. What else?
The bar they go to, do you know what it's called?
I don't remember.
Ziggy's, who is his
Oh,
cousin
okay.
in The Wire, right?
Sure. Yep. Mm-hmm,
And the bar kind of looks similar, to be honest.
True. Very true.
I was like, if a duck shows up at this bar, I'm going to shit myself, is like what I said to Rachel as we're watching the movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
They show a long shot of a container ship, or like a
Okay.
shipping yard, and I was like, okay.
Specifically season 2 wire connections.
Yes, yeah, it's just the season 2, yeah.
Okay. Yep.
So there was like a bunch of these things that kept like clipping into it, and I'm like, I can't unsee them if you have fucking
Sure.
Frank Zabaka's son in this show, in this movie. That like I can't unsee them. So I was just laughing that those were other things that I think like you can't not know, right? Like
Right,
if you're
right,
like making a movie and you have this guy, you'd be like, oh, like let's like I get that it's LA, I get that there's container ships in Fast and Furious too, but to have like a shot of like the shipping yard for no reason in the movie, other like as just like like a shot of like scenery, it's like, oh, okay, you definitely did this. And Ziggy's as the bar name, come on.
Yeah.
But the thing that I think might, I'm stretching here, but might be a fast connection, is when Ice Chip and Zabaka go out on their first ride, where he is trying to, like, test him to see how good of a driver he is. It really feels like the same road that Dom and Brian drive down.
Oh. Okay. I can see that.
Like, the train tracks, like, the in the first movie, like, I get it, it's industrial, it's in LA, so, like, it's probably not, but it also felt very similar.
I think the only fast connection that I wrote down was in that opening heist of the armored truck. They kind of use like a modern high-tech version of Vince's harpoon gun. Like they do one of those like...
Oh, yeah, they drill through and then, like, pull it out, yeah.
Yeah, super powered. But again, like it's like basically a drill harpoon through the windshield to get into a truck, right? Like it's the same, like it's parked, but it's the same kind of thing. It's just like, oh, this is like a good version of what Vince uses.
Yeah, or like the modern version.
Yeah.
The EMP thing being just like this pink glowing piece of the aggro crag. That was like the cheesiest part of the movie for me. And this movie is like kind of cheesy, right? Like it's...
Oh, it's definitely cheesy, absolutely.
But I mean, like, to have like the pink, like, we have an EMP pulse, and he just like carries around this like what looks like a bowling trophy that is also glowing pink. I was like, why?
I think it's just like
in a
maybe
movie,
that's how it looks. I don't know, but yeah, who knows? I don't know.
No, in a movie, you need it to like look like something, because like in reality, all it would be like a metal pellet, like an aluminum Pelican case, right?
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's like, well, that's not very interesting to look at. It's like a briefcase. You'd be like, what is that? But like, if you have this like pink thing with like two giant sides, and you're like, oh wow, that's something interesting.
There's a series of like the crossing the streams or crossing like between the cops. Like there's that hibachi restaurant where after they have abducted Ice Chip and like they've already met each other, whatever, he goes up to him at this restaurant and is just like, oh, I think I've seen you from the gym, right? And like they get
that's
like,
the worst. That was like the worst copping that I've ever seen in my life.
He's doing it on purpose though. Like I think
know.
he's trying to like test Ice Chip, just like, how are you going to handle this? Because like he already knows.
Yeah,
the crew.
but like you can get him. Like if that's your CI, you're not gonna like approach him in front of the criminals and be like, "Hey, I'm a cop that knows you."
Yeah, I don't know. I think again that's just like the whole like loose
so much
cannon
machismo,
kind of thing, right?
so much
Yeah.
ego, so much bulletproof. Yeah.
I mean, I don't understand the character motivation. I do think it's kind of funny, but it's also like it's weird. Like, why are you doing this? Like, I like that you're like so over the top here, but like it seems to, I don't know what your end game is here.
That's what I'm saying. So like, what are you doing other than being like, I'm flexing because like I can't get in trouble, you maybe can, and like, ha ha ha.
When they're both at the gun range, right, and like he knows that the crew is there, and he walks in and whatever, like there's a reason to that, like just like I'm not afraid of you, like I'm gonna walk into a place where
that's
like
a different
you have a
thing.
gun.
He doesn't like
I get,
approach
yeah, I
them.
get that.
Yeah, he's not even good. Like, they both, like, know each other, but he's not, like, bad copping. Like, he's not actively attempting to do bad at his own job in that situation.
Right.
He's
right,
like,
yes.
I'm not scared. I'm bulletproof too. Like, what are you gonna do? Fucking shoot me? They all kind of look at him and they're like, okay, we gotta leave now because there's a cop here. Fine, that's okay. But like the other thing, he's like actively sabotaging his own case, and that's horrible. Like, why would you ever do like even like bad cops that are like, I'm gonna here and just beat you up. I'm not gonna arrest you. Whatever, whatever. Like, are you still trying to sabotage your own cases? Like, that's so. Brian doesn't even do that, right? And Brian's a bad cop.
I do think later it's really funny. So, like, he knows their MO. He knows what they're going to do. They don't take hostages. They don't do whatever, blah, 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 whatever. And so they're tailing the crew, and they go to this bank because Pablo Schreiber's girlfriend is a stripper, or like the woman he's seeing or whatever, right, is this stripper. And she sleeps with Gerard Butler and like tells him where the bank is going to get robbed. And she tells him like where they're actually robbing, but like it's a front. We find out later that they're going out through the bottom and going to this other place and whatever. But they go to this bank that's being robbed, and like they're doing things weird, like they're taking hostages, like he's like, this isn't their MO, whatever, whatever. And then they think that one of the hostages has been killed. The Fed, who has been there, who's like been up in Gerard Butler's face the entire movie, gets like all pissed off. He's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? And this one, Gerard Butler says, that's what surveillance is. They commit a crime. We stop them. Like, he's just like, I'm not fucking this up. Like, stop, like, pretend like I'm on top of this. So like, he's competent. And I think that's a funny interaction there, but like, it goes back to earlier. Like, I don't know why he's like actively sabotaging this thing. It's like, you know what surveillance is. You know how to keep a kind of low profile. What are you doing here? Although it might be kind of the thing where it's just like, you know that I'm a criminal, you know I'm a cop, whatever, like, we're both going to be good at what we do, and so you gets away with it. Maybe that's it. I don't know.
Also, what's weird, to, like, that you were just mentioning is the whole, like, have my girlfriend sleep with him to give him false information, and then have them cross paths in his house? Like,
Right.
that was just, like, very strange to me that it played out like that, when it could easily have worked that, like, she gives him a lap dance in the champagne room. He's like, hey, baby, and she's like, oh, like, yeah, and he's like, I could do better for you, and she's like, oh, well, like, he's always at work, and he's like, well, like, what's he doing tomorrow, and she's like, he says he's going to this bank, you know, like, we could accomplish it without this, like, why do we have to have this?
I think it's one of those things where just like, I could catch you, like, I have enough to sort of take you in or like shut you down or whatever, or I could just like change the plan, like you're not going to get me. But I think part of it is just like, I want you to catch me, or I'm going to catch you at the thing we're both best at.
No, but how does that involve her having to sleep with him to tell him like where they're going?
I don't know. I
That's
don't
what I'm
know.
saying.
He has to feel like he got, like, I think he has to think, Gerard Butler has to think
That he's
he
in
gets
charge.
it through, like, that he worked it out of her, as opposed to like, she just told him because like her boyfriend wanted to tell her or whatever.
Yeah, like yeah, I get it.
Like, he used his charms, like he was such a good detective in the bedroom that like he was able to find out where this guy is gonna whatever, right? But like, if she just like, oh yeah, they're robbing things, she's like, well, why would you tell me that? But I feel like if he thinks that because he did her so good or whatever, you know, like that, it could kind of be like that.
He's stroking his ego. Yes. Okay. Yeah, I get that. But also, that gives me the heebie-jeebies, and I don't like it. Like, you, like, kind of, like, passed off your girlfriend to, like...
Oh yeah, well, I mean, he's a terrible person.
Yeah, both of them are. In their own ways, yeah.
Well, there's also the scene where Gerard Butler signs the divorce papers, like he busts in on his like wife's kind of like date night or just like hang out with friends or whatever, and like intimidates everybody and like signs the papers in front of him. And
him doing the "don't touch me," pushes everybody, punches everybody aggressively. "Don't touch me," pushes everybody. I hate that too. That's like very grating.
No, they're both terrible people.
Yes, but but it just plays into the characters that how great they are. That like I was like very annoyed and frustrated with some of their actions.
Yeah.
The qualms are with the characters, not the movie or the actors or anything like that.
Yeah, like it's again, like it's dirtbag heat or Monster Energy drink heat. Like, I don't want to spend time with Nero or Pacino, but like they're people. Like, I understand like what they like. These are just like people who are like, these are self-destructive assholes who like use the people around them as, or like don't have any regard for the people around them.
Yeah.
Like, De Niro is, for all intents and purposes, like he's in a good relationship. It's just that he can't like get out of his own way somewhat.
And you keep using the reference of Heat, but I keep thinking about The Wire. This is like the most surface level version of The Wire ever, right? Where like the cops are bad guys, the criminals are bad guys, everybody's bad guys, but at the same time, like, yeah, there's no nuance to it. They're just shitheads. So you're like, okay.
In terms of like the heist pick for this team, like I would like to do a job with De Niro if we're having a team where we're trying to like we're not picking cops, but like I would like to have Pacino and thing. I wouldn't want to be anywhere near Gerard Butler or Pablo Schreiber in this because it's just like, no, I don't trust you. I don't trust you as far as I can throw you. Like,
maybe
you scare me.
Okay, so do you want to pick a heist member?
I think it has to be Ice Chip.
Ice Chip is an excellent choice. There's some others though. Based on what I was saying earlier, we might need a rapper in our heist team. I wouldn't mind having 50. He seems competent. He was a Marine.
I think Ice Chip is close enough in the family tree. Like, he's got to have an EP or something.
Okay, that's fair. And my other, like, backup pick, if we want to do 2, and I need to, like, surrender Ice Chip, because I think he is the ultimate choice.
Because he's the one, on Brian's podcast, like, who won the movie, like, who ended up the best. Like,
for sure.
It's very, like, no one even comes out, like, even remotely close to winning, and he's just like, I have all the money, I have a new bar, I have, like, and I have a future, right? Like,
he is the bar, and he's, like, the best driver, and he's, like, a mechanic, and he, like, is the one that, like, sneaks in. He's the one that can, like, work on... He's a chameleon, right?
He's the one who actually does the stuff. Like, he sneaks... Like, yeah. He's one of the very few people who have, like, defined skills. Like, other people are like, I'm good with guns. I know how to reload a gun. And then he's just like, oh, no, like, I can do everything on this entire thing, right?
Yeah, I can, like, flirt with some ladies as I drop off their Chinese. Like, all of these things. I think the only other person that you could even make an argument for is the Samoan that, like... does all the tech stuff, like the hacks the phones, all of this stuff, and is like the guy that's like watching out. I think that's like
he was great. I loved him. He was really good.
He's awesome, and I think that like it wouldn't hurt to have a guy that could like kind of blend in, look like a construction worker, be like answering the phones, doing some voices, hacking into things. Like he's not like Tej level hacker, but sometimes I think you need more of like a low level hacker that's like. More circuits than Tej, not numbers.
I think he's a great choice. The issue I have with him is I have absolutely no idea what the character's name is, and I don't know that we can necessarily nominate someone who we just don't know the name because the movie doesn't care about him. Like they care about him as like part of the team.
They even call them just like the Samoans, right? Like they like as a blanket term because there's like more than one.
So as a look back to last week, we had the 4 picks: you, me, Alicia, and Michelle, and the patrons picked Michelle's pick of Ramsey, so Ramsey is the winner there. I think if we were trying to, like, if we had, like, a bunch of people, I think we could do, like, a wide array, but I think the answer is just Ice Chip, but I think the 2 other people that you brought up are both good. It's just, it kind of has to be him. Like, in terms of if we're actually building a competent heist team, it has to be, what's his name, Donnie? Is he Donnie?
Donnie is, yeah, that's his name, his character name. And I'm with you, I'm sold, that's fine. On a side note, you were like, hey, I'm not keeping track of your heist team picks, right?
Oh, I do have that, though. I lied to you. Of course I did. Of course I kept track of it.
Okay,
yes.
Well, I had them on a paper list, and I have them sitting on my coffee table, so that every time we record, I can write down my thing. Okay. And last night, one of my cats just puked all over the list, but but it happened to be on, like, the bottom half of the list. So, like, I have the list, like the little piece of paper, but it was on the back of my like Oscar checkoff sheet, like my Oscar movies check sheet, and like they just vomited all over it. And I was like, well, if that's not a sign that Joey would enjoy,
they do not approve of your heist picks, I guess.
Yeah, they just said like blah. That was.
And I gotta say, my cats are almost 10 months old. I've had them for almost 7 months. They have not puked once.
No.
And I don't know how. They have not had a hairball. They have not thrown up. They are like, I mean, they cause all sorts of destruction in other ways, but they have not puked. And like cats puke, like that's what they do. And these cats have not. I'm like, I know the shoe is coming. I just don't know when.
I think they're just puking and eating it before you find it.
Ew, maybe. I don't know.
Because I've caught my cats doing that too. But like it's just hot and they eat really fast and it's just puke time.
I think what is sort of unique about this, I think this is kind of my last note, is that it's the big heist here at the end, was I don't know that we've had this lap a heist acting as a front for another heist. Have we or have we not?
Not in the movies we've watched, but I've definitely seen movies that do this before.
Right. So what they do here, like I was
Well,
saying
maybe
before,
like like you're saying specifically like drawing the cops to. I don't know. It's so common, but I don't know if we've specifically had a movie that's done it so far.
I think what's rare to a certain extent is that there's not often this close of a dance between the cops and the criminals. Like this
Logan Lucky did something very similar.
But they were always taking down the racetrack.
Yeah.
Like these guys literally rob a bank to escape via the sewers to go rob a different bank.
Yeah. To draw the cops to one bank. Yeah.
Normally, most movies either focus on the cops or the criminals. That's why, like, I think this is the Heat comparison there. Like, we're seeing both sides of it.
Yeah.
But like, I can't think of another one where the criminals are like, "Here's the bank we're robbing." Like, it's essentially in a way kind of like the end of Too Fast, where it's like, "Oh, we're going to the airstrip." It's like, we never said the airstrip. What are you talking about?
Yep.
Where it's kind of like we're feeding information to see like what's going on, and then doing the real heist elsewhere. So it's not exactly Too Fast, but it's similar in that way. But like they're luring the cops and other cops, like backup and the feds and whatever, to a bank that they're actively armed robbing. But then instead of like what they think is they're blowing out the safe or whatever, they just escape, go out back, go through the sewers, go rob the actual heist. So I think it's kind of cool. Like, again, we've been saying all out, like, how do we have like new twists on the heist? And I think like the heist, the two-part heist of different banks, and essentially setting up two heists, but like we don't really know it's going to be two, or like we think it might be like there's something. I think if this movie does something like unique or novel, I think it's this. I think.
Yeah. It's a slight turn.
Yeah, it might not be like brand new, but I think of the movies that we've watched, I think it's closer to something that we have not seen before than any other movie we've covered this lap.
Okay.
Like, we watched a lot of great movies this lap, but I think it's like the two at one to sort of trick the cops and like sort of like
the diversion.
Yes, which I think is kind of cool. So I don't know, but in the end, there's like a showdown. There's like they get stuck in traffic, and there's like a shootout in traffic, and like basically everybody gets killed, except for I think Gerard Butler and Ice Chip. Right? Does anybody else survive?
I thought that they shot the Gerard Butler's partner like very, very early, and then he shows up to like send off 50 Cent, and I was like, oh, I thought that you were dead. And he's like, you're with God now, brother, or something. And I was like, that's weird. That's not what I saw happening. But okay, cool. But yeah, no, that's there's like some people survive. I think the shootout part was like it had to end like that, but was kind of anticlimactical in the movie. Like,
well, I think that's again like something that's kind of cool is that like you're expecting this like kind of like chase or this like real big shootout.
And it's traffic, and then a walking shootout. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're just like, I guess is where we're doing it. Like they both like because they see in the rear view like, oh, there's the cops. Like, all right, here's where we're doing it. Like they all gear up. Like it's kind of cool. Like I don't remember.
That is fair.
Like,
yeah, that is cool. Yeah,
like, that's LA traffic, right? That's just like fuck. All right, we're here.
And normally it's like, oh, we like drive away and there's no traffic through LA ever.
Yep.
Yeah.
Any other notes though about Den of Thieves?
No, I added all mine in and I covered all of them.
Then let's watch the trailer. Den of Thieves, official trailer number 1, 2018. 50 Cent, Gerard Butler action movie HD. So 50 Cent gets top billing in this trailer, posted by Zero Media. 7.8 million views, posted in October of 2017. So this is like the official trailer. Let me know when you're ready.
I'm queued up and ready when you are, brother.
All right, 3, 2, 1, play.
Hey, pay attention. This is yours. Most important thing, keep your finger off the trigger at all times.
Under the bridge.
Those underground
when that happens,
things visually looked like widows, which came after this.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Which would have the Michelle Rodriguez lap, not the heist lap, but also would fit into this lap.
Yeah.
Cop in the country is going to be looking for us.
This trailer looks badass. See, there was the shipping containers.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
What's the tally? 4 dead, 6 on the way to the hospital.
I do like that they're at a fake Randy's Donuts. It's also a taqueria.
Right away. I'll get you a medic.
Ain't no snitch.
Yo.
He's done, son.
That is also the scene, I think, where... Oh, here's Kendrick. Okay.
Every big-time crew has been busted. These are the guys who took them down.
I love that everybody in this movie has neck tattoos for no reason.
Well, they're just bad dudes, right? Like, it's just like, oh yeah, we're hard.
And I love that in this movie, the tattoos are like, I don't know if you can tell, but like, you can tell the tattoos are like very, very fake because they're like too black.
Sure, they're not like faded. They're not like actually into the skin.
Yeah, exactly. So like, they're definitely like just like screen printed on your skin on top.
Garrett, when he tweeted, I don't remember if I said this before, but he said that there's a scene where like he goes from eating a donut to eating a sub. Like, just Gerard Butler is just like doesn't have any decorum. Like, he's just like doing what he wants wherever he wants at all points. So
yeah, they didn't use the Kendrick song in the movie, I don't think, huh?
No. I mean, it's a great song. Again, like you said before, this is a great trailer.
Regulators, that's what it was.
Which means you are done.
Yeah, this was like a movie I want to see.
I think this is like a pretty good reflection of the trailer too, or of the movie.
Yeah, we don't have that very often, to be honest, so.
We just shoot you.
I mean, it's spoiling here the shootout at the end. Like, you don't know that this is the end, right? But like,
We are.
you don't necessarily need that.
Nah. Okay.
I do feel like, and maybe, you know, maybe they do, maybe they don't, I don't know, but I feel like they maybe could have played up the LA of it a little bit more. Like they do with the traffic, they do with like some of it, but I feel like I didn't really get a real sense that it was LA.
That's fair. That's totally fair, and I agree. Yep.
Not that like Fast and Furious really does that either, but like when it feels
This could
like
be Chicago in the summer.
Yes.
It could be like Brooklyn.
And I don't know that I thought about that really until hearing Good Kid, Mad City, right? Which is like, it feels like this is like trying to say like, this is my city. This is like where a city takes place or whatever. And like, I don't know. Like, I didn't really get that sense of like LA mattered all that much to what we're doing here.
Yeah, I feel you. That makes sense.
All right, the Letterboxd game. So for reference sake, Mad Max Fury Road, one of the most popular films on Letterboxd, has been seen by 1.1 million people. 1.1 million people. Den of Thieves, 2018, directed by Christian Gudegast, starring Gerard Butler, Dawn Oliveri, O'Shea Jackson Jr., and Pablo Schreiber, and 50 Cent. Can't leave off 50. Has been seen by how many people?
It's fairly recent. Cast is pretty decent. I'm gonna go 115,000.
Too high. I thought I didn't remember what the number was, and I was like, that sounds like a good guess, but you're too high.
Okay. 87,000.
Still too high. One more guess.
72,000.
50,516. 50516.
A little lower than I expect, right?
Yeah. Fan favorite Garrett Smith gave this 2 stars. Montez gave this 1 star. Aaron Newith gave it 3 stars on Jason Rainey's watch list. Also, if you're listening to this episode and you're on Letterboxd, let me know. Because I follow everybody who I know listens to the show who's on Letterboxd.
Okay.
But let me know. Montez, though, who loves everything, did not like this movie. So, average rating of 3.2, a most common a 3, then a 3.5, then a 4. How many people have this in their top 4 favorite movies of all time?
I'm gonna go 23.
You are too low, believe it or not.
Okay, my real first guess was 41.
You are too high, but you're much closer. One more guess in between 23 and 41.
37.
Yeah?
Yeah? Really?
Yeah, 37.
Okay. There we go.
We are going to Nightwing04 at Nightwing04, who reviewed this about a month ago. While Heat defined the heist subgenre, movies like The Town and Den of Thieves have advanced the genre. I'm not sure about that, but all right, I see where you're going.
Okay.
Gerard Butler is absolutely phenomenal in this movie. The action is intense, the story is great, and the tension is up there with some of the best heist films in history. Overall, if you're a fan of the cops and robbers or heist subgenre, or just a Gerard Butler fan, then Den of Thieves is an absolute must-watch. 4.5 out of 5 stars.
Okay.
So Nightwing04, there were a bunch that like, there were a handful we could do, but some were just like 4 of the biggest movies of all time. So I tried to go, I don't know.
Heat.
No, also other people had Heat, and I'm just like, that's too easy. We can't do Heat.
I thought you wouldn't do that. Okay, go ahead.
Den of Thieves is his number 3 favorite movie of all time. The other 3 movies are they're all 4 from the 2010. So between 2010 and 2019, all 4 of these movies came out.
Okay.
We have covered one on this podcast several laps ago.
Is it Widows?
No. What is a movie? I don't like this movie that we're trying to guess. You love this movie. I did not like this movie.
Joker.
But we didn't cover that for this podcast.
I know, but okay, go ahead.
But you're not entirely far off for different reasons. But what's a movie that people are like, oh, that movie is fucking cool, that we covered that I did not like that you love, that also kind of feels with Den of Thieves? I mean, I like Den of Thieves a lot. I'm not trying to make fun of Den of Thieves, but like Den of Thieves thinks it's really cool, which I think kind of is, but like this movie's like, all right.
Oh man, what is it? Is there a knife on the movie poster?
No, there's a match on the movie poster though.
Oh fuck, I'm gonna have no fucking idea. Okay, there's a match on the movie poster. It's a movie that people like because they think that movie's real cool. But
I will say that in my review of this, and we watched this almost 2 years ago.
Read me your review of that, can you please? Like just like some snippet of it. Like,
yeah, I'll read the whole thing. I'm going to bleep one word.
Okay, go ahead.
It's amazing to me how many movies use this. I'm reading it because like this first part is going to mean absolutely nothing to you.
Okay.
It's amazing to me how many movies use On the Nature of Daylight, and none are nearly as good as Arrival. I'm sure you've heard the song in multiple movies, including this movie and maybe Arrival too. Doesn't help you. And then I said, the most twisted part of this movie is that blank directed it. I said in parentheses, or maybe it's how much time is left when the twist is revealed. And I gave it 3 stars. I did not like it though. I will say the second actor is Mark Ruffalo. I'm not going to say the lead because if I say the lead, you're probably going to know it. But Mark Ruffalo, second. Ted Levine, Tanner, in this movie.
Mark Ruffalo is the second actor in this movie, and I really liked it.
Yeah, I think I would say I'm pretty sure you love this movie.
I don't know. I can't think of anything.
One of the most famous directors of all time.
Spielberg.
No, but you got the first letter right.
Scorsese.
What's a Scorsese movie that we covered the podcast that I do not like, that thinks it's really cool?
I don't know.
There's a match on the poster. There's also an island on the poster.
Oh, Shutter Island.
Shutter Island, yeah.
Yeah, you don't like Shutter Island?
I think it sucks, but you know.
I loved Shutter Island.
Whatever.
It's a great movie.
I know.
Yeah, that's a great movie. The match in the island thing. Okay, cool. Sorry.
I shouldn't have said I like islands in the title. Like I kind of get away there, but also whatever. Now, Nightwing's favorite movie is a movie I've covered for a different podcast that I love. Is genuinely one of my favorite movies. I mentioned Arrival in the review for Shutter Island. This movie not entirely dissimilar from Arrival for a couple different reasons.
Oh, is it the one where they're in space and it's Sandra Bullock in space?
No, it's not Gravity.
Oh, damn it.
I like Gravity a lot. I don't love Gravity. I love this movie. This is my favorite movie by this director, which I feel is a very hot take that like nobody agrees with. Like people like this movie. This is again one of the most popular directors of all time, from the 2010s. But when people are like, "This is your favorite movie by that guy," I'm like, "Yeah," because this is the only one of his movies that makes me cry. And like it kind of it's supposed to make you cry.
Was it Shape of Water?
No, I don't think that makes me cry. It just makes me horny when she fucks the.
For some reason,
I do love that movie though.
I hate that movie. Okay, good. Let me think. So really
similar,
big.
You
covered it for
movie.
A podcast. It's a space movie.
That's not why it's similar to Arrival, because Arrival's not a space movie. Arrival is aliens, but it is a space movie from the 2010s by a very famous director.
Oh, is it the Matt Damon one, The Martian?
Nope, but Matt Damon, spoiler, is in this movie.
In another, what was the other one that wasn't Gravity, but was also, is it just like a space movie with Matt Damon?
No. Matt Damon like shows up like an hour and a half into this movie.
Oh, damn it. Okay.
He's almost like the Private Ryan. He's the titular Private Ryan. Your boy, this is not going to help you, I don't think. Your boy Timothée Chalamet's in this movie.
Timmy in a space movie? Oh, is it R. Pat's in this movie?
Nope.
Oh.
And Timothée Chalamet has nothing to do with space. He's only in the first like 20 minutes of this movie.
Dune? That was 2020.
No, yeah, correct. It's not Dune.
I don't know.
Mankind was born on Earth. It was never meant to die here.
I don't know. What is it?
Let me see if I can find any good FAQs for you on IMDb. Why did Earth change its history books to claim that the Apollo missions to the moon were faked?
What?
Does Einstein's theory of relativity imply that this type of space travel is impossible?
So it's a space trap. Is it like, I don't know. I have no idea.
The adventures of a group of explorers who make use of a newly discovered wormhole to surpass the limitations on human space travel and conquer the vast distances involved in a blank voyage.
I have holes.
It is one of the most popular directors. Try to name the director. Who's like the most popular Letterboxd loves this director? You love this director. I love this director.
Nicholas Winding Refn.
No, more popular. Nicholas Winding Refn's not really popular. He's just, loved. But this guy is like bankable.
Tarantino.
No, but on par with him.
What's the guy who did the network that was on Pluto or Sling that got taken off?
Robert Rodriguez?
Yeah, not him.
No. Way more popular than him.
We already did Scorsese. I already said Spielberg. Is it Spielberg for this one?
Nope.
Is it...
I don't know what... Matthew McConaughey stars in this movie.
I absolutely have no idea what it is.
McConaughey, Anne Hathaway, Jessica Chastain, Ellen Burstyn, John Lithgow, Michael Caine, Casey Affleck.
I don't know. What is it?
Interstellar.
Okay, yes, that was the other space movie. That's what I said. Gravity and then the other space movie that has a name.
That doesn't count as a win. I told you it was a space movie.
I know, but there's two, and they both have similar spacey kind of names.
Well, there's more than two, but...
There was Gravity and Interstellar. There were two spacey movies that came out that everybody was like, I love these space movies. And you're like, okay, cool. No, I'm just kidding. I just even with all the cast, like, it makes sense. I don't remember if I've seen Interstellar or not because I was so turned off by Gravity that, like, I hated Gravity. Sorry.
Well, like, Interstellar is like, what if love could conquer time travel, basically. It's like, well, okay, sure. I love it. I get it.
Is Interstellar... No, what's the one with Chris Pratt where he's in the time machine? Where it's like Chris Pratt and ScarJo.
Oh, no, that's Chris Pratt and Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah, that one.
Is that called Voyagers? That movie sort of sucks. That movie, it just... There's this guy, I think I've talked
there
about him before.
There were so many space movies in, like, this small time frame.
You can't say a minute ago, yeah, I said the other space movie, and then now say there's so many space movies. You can't...
There was two big space movies. There was two huge space movies, and then you had, like, a bunch of other... It was like superhero movies for a summer. It was just all space. Go ahead.
Speaking of...
Superhero
movies, the second favorite movie of Nightwing 04... Not a superhero movie, but stars a guy who played Wolverine.
Is it The Greatest Showman?
No, but you have the right Wolverine. This is, I will tell you, I don't know if you know this movie. This is one of the most depressing movies I've ever seen. And you know that I love depressing things. But this movie is almost too depressing for me.
Then I definitely don't know what it is, because I can't think of, like what was it? Wolverine Noir, or whatever, the black and white version?
Yes, no, it's not a superhero movie.
Sorry.
Here's the description to this movie. When Keller Dover's daughter and her friend go missing, he takes matters into his own hands as the police pursue multiple leads and the pressure mounts. But just how far will this desperate father go to protect his family? It's Hugh Jackman, the aforementioned Wolverine,
yes,
and Jake Gyllenhaal playing Detective Loki. Okay.
Is it Nightcrawler?
No. Nightcrawler's great. I love that movie.
I do too.
Directed by Denis Villeneuve, who also directed Dune, and the aforementioned Arrival, and Blade Gazer 2049. This is a movie called Prisoners. Do you know Prisoners? Have you heard of Prisoners?
Never even heard of it.
Holy shit,
no.
This movie is a downer, man. If you want to see a real down... It's also like 2.5 hours long. It's like long, and it's just like, oh no.
No. Sounds like
Prisoners.
Nothing I want. But title's cool, though, and the cast seems cool. But, like, if you're telling me that's a depressing movie...
Yeah, this is one where it's just like sort of vague spoilers, but I feel like when if I'm saying a movie where somebody's searching for their family is a depressing movie, like it kind of can only end in one way, and it's a real gut punch of an ending. Yeah, and it's 2.5 hours long. It's just like, oh, I just want this to be over. Like this is miserable.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Like in a well-made way, but it's also like this is no fun. Oh boy.
I get you. Yeah.
So Nightwing's favorite movies: Interstellar, Prisoners, Den of Thieves, and Shutter Island. So. Pretty cool. All right.
Not a bad list. That's a cool lineup. And I should have gotten at least one more of those if I would remember the name of the other space movie.
Yeah, the other space movie. That was Den of Thieves. Next episode.
Den of Thieves was good, by the way, and like even if after we like gushed about it, go watch it. It's on Netflix. That was like an easy find. It's a fun movie to watch. It's a little long, like it shouldn't be that long, but like overall, like that movie's a lot of fun. If you like heist movies, that was a good one.
It's shorter than Heat, right? So Heat's almost 3 hours long. This is shorter than Heat, but Heat's better. But whatever.
Yeah.
Our next episode is a special sort of, it's going to be like a little bit shorter, but it is our 250th episode celebration.
Ooh.
And we are going to unveil the Hall of Fame. We'll do a couple other things that episode. And then after that, we will be back on our regular scheduled thing with The Fate of the Furious. But next week's going to be a little bit of a shorter episode, but our 250th celebration, which is going to be pretty exciting.
Yeah.
We started this podcast in 2017, so we're
Did we
closing
really?
in on 5 years. Yeah, December 2017, but we're closing in on 5 years.
That's insane. That's really insane.
Yeah. For all things Too Fast, Too Forever, go to cageclub.me, facebook.com/TooFastTooForever, or at TooFastTooForever on Twitter and Instagram. Email us, family, at cageclub.me. Check out our Patreon page at TooFastTooForever.com and our store at TooFastTooForever.shop, and come back next week for our 250th episode celebration. I'm Joey Lewandowski.
I'm Joe too.
And we'll tell you all about it
when we see you again.